know who and when and what's coming, and that's just a great thing to have. Where's Quinn? Call him on the phone. Get him on.
Chat. There's a lot of people in the chat right now. Everybody, tell Quinn to get the hell on the phone and get in here.
And I'll tell you what,
bug him. Quinn, you can hear us.
We're sitting here doing a little bit of reminiscing here and there too, but don't think we're going to always agree on everything either. Because man, I know we're not going to, because we never have. It's going to get exciting. It is going to be exciting.
Let me ask you guys this. All right, go ahead, Dylan. I was going to ask.
Say what's missing is JB. He still can't get in. He's probably sitting there listening to it.
Push the button.
Are you guys seeing anyone right now on the local indie scene that's young, under 2 years, we'll say, that you think can make the cut? Do you think you have your eye on that they're going to be a rising star in Pittsburgh? That's a tough question.
Under 2 years. Well, just under 2 years. I'm trying to think of a guy.
Longer.
Kind of, all right.
Let's say 5. Let's make it easy.
5 years, okay.
No, wait a second. Like, you're kind of excluding the Carolinas here.
Down there too, anywhere actually.
Yeah. There you go.
I forgot we got an ambassador down at North Carolina.
Loop some of your boys in. Let's see what they got.
How about your boy Austin? He is terrific. How long has he been in Boomer? Because I have my eye on him. I like him a lot.
He's he's about 2 years.
Yeah, that kid's got a lot of natural talent, a lot of natural instinct for the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he works hard, and I put my stamp of approval, and I guarantee that Brandon Kay, Chris Taylor, Dylan Dean, and Paul Atlas would all agree. Stamp of approval for Austin Jordan.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
We can agree and disagree on a lot of things, but the one thing we'll always agree on is good talent. I mean, I just don't think that's. You might not like the person, you might like the entire situation with a person coming in, but I think we've all been around the ring enough to know good talent when you see it. So if somebody says it, it has to be considered. That's how I feel. It comes out of Brandon, Boomer, Paul. You guys, Chris, when you guys talk, you know what you're talking about. So it's very hard to argue that. So, yeah, Boomer, I'd say the same thing. A lot of these guys I haven't seen. You guys have. I mean, the Pittsburgh wrestling back in the day for me was special because you did have so much good talent. That had come through. And I think a lot of times it was just I hate to bash people and say bad things on here, and I won't, even though I should. But I just think that a lot of things go to people's heads as far as booking, as far as federations. And then when you start to do those kind of things, you start taking away from the talent, and it becomes more about an ego thing, and it ruins it. And I think a lot of people got discouraged back in the day from that. But a lot of those people have then gone on to train people and went on to see better talent. And I think that's what Quinn's vision is, because Quinn, fortunately or unfortunately for him, got to see all of that all the way through. So the guy has just a wealth of knowledge and workers under his hat. And I mean, how can you argue with that?
Yep.
Sure. And you know what? Let me pull this back just a little bit again. We're going to talk about people. He hasn't come forward and asked, and he asked about what kind of talent do I see out there. I mean, this might be a softball, man, but the guy that I saw the very first time I seen him, and yeah, I think he's right around under that 5-year mark. The first time I ever saw him, I said that boy is money, and I'm talking about Lee Moriarty. I would love to see that man in Fight Underground.
Absolutely. There's a good argument to be made. He's one of the best in Pittsburgh right now, if not the best. I mean, he's that good in my eyes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Oh, real quick. I was just thinking of 5 years and under too. Are Duke and Gannon, Duke Davis and Gannon Jones Jr., are they under 5 years?
They're close. I think Gannon was in it longer than Duke. I think Duke's maybe 4 years, I'm thinking.
Yeah, but they're fairly young. I mean, they haven't been around too long, but they're amazing. Those two guys are monsters. They're athletic, and they've got star power, no question. And just like Lee Moriarty, I agree that Lee is probably the best right now in Pittsburgh. He's just, that kid is he makes it look so easy. He does.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's finding a personality, which he kind of lacked when he first started. He focused a lot more on the wrestling aspect. Now he's getting that personality. He's getting comfortable with the fans and stuff. Now he's getting all sides of the equation.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to tell you what, his style ain't exactly the style that I would go for, and I still love the way the boy works. So, like I said, I would love to see him. Lee, if you're out there, if you're listening, somebody got his phone number, tell him the fight director is throwing out the invitation, brother.
So not to put myself over here.
Sorry about that.
I mean, I know that's a first, but
take a minute and look at your background. Not
like a 9-foot poster of his own ass.
And I kiss it every night. So no, seriously. Brandon Kay came to me and said, "Man, Lee Moriarty is. I cannot believe that he's not signed right now." So last year, 2019, there was a benefit show in the Rise Arena. And I said, okay, let's put the kid to the test. And not put myself over, but I did flip the bill. I brought in New Japan Pro Wrestling star Chase Owens to work with Lee Moriarty. And the kid, he held his own. I'm telling you, Chase had nothing but good things to say about this kid after the damn match. This kid is absolutely 5 stars in my opinion. He really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's coming.
I called that
coming
match.
From.
I had the pleasure of calling that match from that show, and I'll tell you what, it was 5-star, no 2 ways about it.
Yeah.
If that's coming from Chase Owens, who I've been in the ring with multiple times, then that's a major endorsement right there, no question.
Yeah, Chase doesn't like you. He told me.
I know.
Taylor, did you ever work with Lee? Did you guys ever square up?
Once in a tag, and I don't think really. We weren't in the ring together too long because I'm pretty sure I immediately got blown up and said nope.
There's a lot of talent in Pittsburgh right now. Drake Braddock, Ted Jarvis. I don't know what Christian Noir's at. He retired very young, but he's fantastic. And I don't want to name Sean Phoenix. And that's what I said. I don't want to name a bunch of names because I feel like I'm going to leave people out that are really good, and I'm just old and forgetful. But there's a lot of good talent that we need to look at for this, young talent.
But, and guys are hungry. They're going to want to come, especially as soon as people actually see what happens. And you know this as well as I do because we've all followed the indies and we've all saw the next best thing come around and fade off. But everybody always wanted to be a part of that. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of guys come out of the woodwork that are going to want to be part of something that's special.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of guys that are still 10-year guys in that I think would fit in here to help these guys get better. Beastman, I see you're in the chat, brother. I think he's a perfect fit for something like this,
And then we even got some of the older guys like Shirley Doe, who's already dropped into the underground. I mean, we're going to have a wide variety. We're going to have the young guys. We're going to have the old guys. We're going to have the flyers. We're going to have the brawlers. We're going to have every aspect of the business. But the one thing we are going to have is we are going to have competition. This is a competition. This isn't a square dance. It's going to be a competition. And that's how it's going to be. That's going to bring, like I said before, and I'm going to keep saying it, that's going to bring back the sport of professional wrestling and indie wrestling.
And I agree with you 100%. And that's what's lacking all around wrestling right now is that it's not wrestling. It's not like it was. And it's a shame to say. And again, listen, we've all had our own WrestleMania moments and that's just the way it is. And here we are. And we're all back together the same way as if you were doing it in front of 10 people or if you were doing it in front of 15,000 people. It doesn't matter. A lot of you guys have been on the Sports Fest shows that were run years and years and years ago where they drew 10,000 people. And you had guys like Yokozuna there and Rikishi there and all these big name stars that were on the show. It's just a different day and age. That's when wrestling was something, and now I think it's unfortunately has turned back into a sideshow. Who can say what and who can do this, and you don't see as much of the old school hardcore get down competition. So I think you hit the nail on the head with that, and And that's what I want to see. I mean, that's why I wanted to get back involved. I mean, I can't tell you honestly the last time I turned on TV and just sat down and watched a 3-hour Monday night wrestling or a Tuesday night or whatever it's on now. I can't tell you when. And that breaks my heart to think that. It breaks my heart to think that at times is that I can't sit down and physically watch it and get into it and see and watch what's going on. And we all know the spots and we all see the spots. And I can't remember a time I can do that. I again, speaking for myself, I don't know about you guys, but I would much rather watch a worker that is busting his ass to get somewhere and has proven himself to do that than sit down and watch a Monday night show. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I'm with you 100% on that one, brother. You know, I mean, I don't even really watch much of the new products. I might watch clips here and there on social media, but I couldn't tell you last time I sat down in my living room, turned on the TV and watched, wrestling on TV from front to back. It's just, and I know, hey, it always changes. Everything's got to evolve. We know that, but it can evolve in a good way too. It can go back and still go ahead at the same time. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to push ahead. We're going to take the new, we're going to mesh it with the old, and we are going to come up with a principle and a concept that is just going to blow everybody else out of the water.
I just read something on that chat. Some matches were in front of 5 people. That's goddamn. I mean, it is correct. Seen some of those just in Pittsburgh alone, where it's been bad weather and there were 15 people. You were part of them getting in there and just busting your ass in front of 5-10 people and you didn't have to. You didn't have to. I remember, and this is again why Quinn won't call in. I have no idea, but I'm going to tell this. I remember a night in there where there was probably 11 people in there. It was we ran a Sunday show for some reason. They tried it. It didn't work. 11 people. Things got heated, let's say, and I was going to hit Quinn with a wooden chair. And I said to him, cancel the spot. Cancel the spot, move on. There's 11 people here. And he grabbed me by the neck, man, and I'm telling you, I was scared. He said, you don't fucking cancel any spots. You don't do it, you're getting it. So I blew the spot as always, and hit him on the outside, and I busted his head open. And I remember him going to the hospital, and I was like, fuck, this is crazy in front of 11 people. And he's laying in there, and he rolls over with staples in his head. And Quinn, you're listening, and you remember it. And he said, that was fucking awesome. And I said, no, that was not awesome. That was fucking terrible.
I gotta take credit for that because Brandon, you'll back me on this. You know what I told you, whether it's 5 or 5,000 or 50,000, brother, you give them the same show.
Yeah. Even in training, you're like, go. Like there's like this place is full. Go. If
you can't do it on the small stage, you can't do it in front of 5. Why? When do you expect to do it in front of 90,000?
Exactly. Yep. And I think some of these young kids don't understand that. And, we're going to go ahead and we're going to show them what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, and it is the truth. And again, you go 5, 10, 15, 20, 20,000 people. It's totally different. And Brandon, I don't want to take that away because I've seen that with you as well. When you go and you bust your ass in front of, 40 people out there. And I said to myself, I don't understand. This kid should be signed. He should have already been in. He should have been. Your career should be wrapping up in the Fed, and you should be a multi-billionaire by now. For what you're doing. I mean that. You have to say I'm a million times driving back. I said there's a kid there that should be, but you never changed your attitude from start to finish, and even to this day. So I give you a ton of credit just for even being part of this again, and just your attitude through wrestling. If somebody out there wants to see a good attitude in wrestling, don't listen to me. Certainly don't listen to Boomer. Paul and Chris will just beat the shit out of you. But at least with Brandon, he's level-headed and he's always been that way all the way through. And he's worked his ass off from the time he got to the arena to the time he left. And he's never not shook a hand and never not said hello and was never not pleasant in front of me anyway. And I give you all the credit in the world for doing that. And that's what wrestling should be about. The rest of us we're a bunch of fucking animals. I mean, we were a bunch of animals going through it. So Brandon had class. Me and Boomer, we had no class whatsoever. So.
Dylan, I dare you to put me over for 1 second.
What is happening, brother?
Good God.
I will tell you. The one thing about Boomer is I did this, and I told him this earlier. I was going to pick on him. The thing is with Boomer's a great dude. Boomer honestly was my only friend when I came to Pittsburgh. He was the first one to come over and say, man, they hate your fucking guts. But he goes, I kind of like you. You're fucking. funny. And I was like, well, sweet.
Yeah, he was trying to steal
and
a
I remember
spot.
so many times. Of course, and I remember so many times people trying to beat me up in the locker room and Boomer get involved. And now Boomer, listen, I said it from the beginning. I love all you guys. It was like a family to me out there. I missed it for 20 years. I'm thrilled to be back. And yes, Boomer, you do get put over because you were the best guy in that locker room to do the job. 110%. Somebody needed to get over, they put out Boomer Payne.
You're damn right. I did the job, all right.
But yeah, well, just pulling it back a second there, like I said, hey, these guys are going to have to learn how to do it in front of a small crowd first, because before we're going to put them on in front of a big crowd, they're going to have to impress us. And it's a small group, even once all the reveals are, it is definitely not going to be like a full house show. You are going to have to prove yourself to the small crowd. So if you come in there with an attitude like, there's 5 or 6 guys here watching me, screw this, well, then you know what? Go take yourself out and, work for somebody else, because you're not working for Fight Underground.
Sure. And you're 100% right. And again, everybody that's in here right now has done that in front of 5-10 people, and they worked their ass off and never looked back and worked it like it was a WrestleMania show. And I just don't see that now. I don't see it at this end of the state anyway. I just don't see it. And like I said, that's what's more disheartening to me than anything. And I one of the reasons why I was just like, as much as I love this business, it's as much as I hate this business at times, because it just stole. I had so many good memories, and they get stolen when you see shit that just shouldn't be. And that's why I think when Quinn reached out and gave this proposal and this idea, it was the fact of, man, you know what? You got the right people involved, and they're not going to put up with the shit. So you can take the wrestling part of it, and then you can go to the shoot part. And when we hang up on the call and everybody talks and says, fuck that, you shake a hand in a locker room, or you do this in a locker room, or you do that outside. I think more to us, that's kind of a personal thing. And that's that's no matter how good you are, if you have a shitty attitude, you're going nowhere. And am I wrong to say that?
No, not at all.
Absolutely not.
I mean, I will say this, and I'm not trying to seem like I'm kissing ass or anything, but Paul, mad props to you. We always did good business. You were I'll be honest, dick. You were a real dick to us, but I love you for it. You know what I mean? You taught me so much, and Brandon, watching you grow and watching you become the wrestler that you are today. I mean, we're still doing good business today. I mean, 20 years later. Dylan, I got nothing but love for you. I was the only one that said, hey, man, this guy's really cool. And, Chris, the only time that I got to work with Chris was, and I'm going to throw this out, September 26th, 2009.
Of course you would know the fucking date.
All the goddamn chair shots you take, and you remember them.
I swear to God. He probably watched it 10 minutes ago.
September 26, 2009, I got inducted into the Circle of Respect, and we did a tag match. And that was pretty much the only time that I really got to work with you. And the match was drizzling shits. Let's be honest. It was horrible. But I cherish every moment, every second that I step inside a ring with anybody. I cherish that moment. And when you go back and you look at it, you're like, damn, like I will never, ever, ever do that again. Like that moment right there, I'll never do it again. And mad props, Paul, Brandon, Chris, Dylan, JB, who is, my brother from another mother, Quinn for putting this shit together. I have so much love and respect for you guys. I just can't, words can't describe how much that, because wrestling has taken over my life. That's all I have. You know what I mean? I got a wife, I got kids, blah, blah, blah. But the moments that we make inside the ring and the magic that we make inside the ring, you can't explain that to an outsider. What that makes you feel like. for a lack of a better term, it's like playing God. You play with people's emotions. You make them love you, make them hate you. And to go through that with somebody else and to have that trust and love and admiration for you guys, it speaks volumes.
I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to tell you this quickly, but I say the same thing. So there's where I'm from up here. Again, I'll just say it. I'm in the media business, and there's a special fire hall called the America's Host Company that they're huge wrestling people. They're huge supporters of wrestling. They're huge supporters of Sam. And when they talk about wrestling, like they don't believe half the shit I tell them. And you guys will know. I mean, you just don't. You can't imagine what it was like, and they always ask, and I can get into a million different stories, and they're like, no freaking way did that. And it's the sad part is they're all true, and that's what makes me sad. That's what makes me sad is that's what I did with my life, and you know what? I wouldn't change it for anything, and I would not. I would, and I told Sam this when this thing started through Quinn. I said the one thing that I could say I will never, ever, ever. I have no regrets ever stepping foot inside the old WrestlePlex and meeting up with all you guys, and it is the truth. And every single one of you, every single, especially, I mean, Brandon, I've been there with you, Paul, from the beginning, and you from the beginning. You know, it's so. Brad, I want to hear your thoughts on that because honestly, you out of all the people in Pittsburgh, you were just kind of were on your own little level because you just always did your own thing, and you never, even after the shows. I mean, everybody would go down to what was that place called, Boomer?
Nigros.
Everybody go down to Nigros.
Oh boy.
Oh my God, it would be a circuit. Yeah, listen, I don't know how I don't have any kids out there, but there was a lot of times going out to Nigros. But Brandon, you were never kind of part of that, so it's kind of you know I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and now coming back into this now.
It's strange because like when I first started, everyone hated me too, honestly, because I think I was the new kid. I was young. Paul, everyone hated Paul because he was ruthless, and I was his student. So, you know what I mean? So like you, I was trying to find my way into acceptance with the guys, you know. And the only thing I could think of was I'm just going to work hard. I'm going to do what Paul tells me and let the chips fall as they must. And I've had my ups. Like you gave me a lot of props, and thank you so much for that. And I had some good runs, but like I've never been there too, where wrestling takes away a lot too, And we go through our roller coaster ride, just like in a match. We do it to our careers, and it's sometimes you're like, oh man, why did I do this? But because of what you just said, all the stories that we can tell, because what Boomer just said, all the magic we created in that ring. I mean, we're artists at the end of the day, right? And like you die for your art, and it's just a passion I've always had, and I'm just excited I can still be a part of it. Like I haven't fallen apart yet,
And that's the thing. And that's the thing. If you could get guys that will now go underground to have this attitude, God only knows what can happen. I think I would at that point. I just want to come and sit back in the back and watch it on a monitor and just enjoy wrestling for the first time in a long time. And that's that's the beautiful part about what I think can be created here, and why I think Quinn always had a good mind for wrestling anyway. But this was just something that was just ingenious. So, Paul, what do you think of that? I mean, go ahead, Brandon. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. The only thing I was going to add on to that is I think a lot of us older guys get the reputation of like, oh man, they're just old and sour ass and shit. But we know the value of hard times. Like we talk about them and they're hard, but when you get through them, we were all much better for it. And it made us better wrestlers. It made us better people. And when you don't go through those hard times, you don't get the advantage of what they create for you. And I think this group here knows that value, and we can know how to push these guys in the right direction because we've been there and we know the value of hard times and hard work,
Absolutely. I remember like Sam would say, these guys would be coming after shows looking for their pay. And I'd be like, I probably lost 30 grand coming to Pittsburgh for the, you know what I mean? Cost me money there and be abused. And you know what? I'd pay it again because that's how great it was walking through and just knowing that those fans knew exactly who you were. And for me, they hated me from the beginning and they hated me till I left. And
we still hate you.
but that means I did my job and it played an impact in Pittsburgh, and I'm proud to say that. And that's
Absolutely.
I'm proud to say that.
Pro wrestling is one of those unique industries where you might walk away with less money, but you still walk away richer, depending on how you do it.
100% agree with that.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I mean, we could probably sit here till 3 a.m. and just shoot the shit and talk about everything that's going on. But I think what we're going to do now is we're going to get ourselves together, and the council's going to meet some more, and we're going to talk about some more things. And I'm going to say out there right now, and I'm going to address this to the fans specifically, stay tuned to your social media, to our social media pages, because what you're going to see coming up in the next several weeks, and hopefully sooner rather than later, we're going to put that product out there when we get through all this. And Fight Underground is here. It's here to stay, and it's here to take over Pittsburgh indie wrestling. Guys, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of film to watch. And all I can say to the people out there is fists up, throw down. We'll see you at the matches.
Thanks, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.